Good afternoon. It's once again 4:30, 5:30 actually, on a Friday. And this is your host for the next 25 minutes of the hottest interactive show on television, Hotline 21, where you, the audience, get the chance to be the producer. You can be the moderator. As a matter of fact, you can be virtually everything that you want to be. And of course, this is a very interesting day. I just got in from Washington, D.C. a few minutes ago. Although we actually technically adjourned, I guess in a real sense, a day ago. But this was an interesting day in Washington. I'm sure many of you saw and heard on television what is taking place, where the Democrats in the House of Representatives decided to have a demonstration. That is an old-fashioned, whatever it is that you want to call it, but it nevertheless was interesting. People have been asking me what was going on. Well, the real deal is after the massacre in Orlando, Florida, many of us and many people themselves feel that Congress must take some action relative to gun control, that things are just totally out of hand. I've felt that for quite some time. And so Democrats were asking the House, that is, Republicans in the leadership of both the House and the Senate, but Democrats were asking that we at least have a vote on some gun regulation bill or bills or activity, and two basic things. One, that individuals who are suspected of terrorism and may have been scrutinized enough for the Federal Bureau of Investigation and other intelligence agencies to suggest that they ought not be allowed to fly. That is, if they're on a no-fly list. Even though you may not have been able to convict them or confirm them of anything, but you got enough information to know that they ought to be looked at, they ought to be watched, that they not be allowed to fly. Well, those same individuals, though, could purchase semi-automatic guns, weapons. And so we wanted to have a vote on that issue. There are many of us who believe that automatic and semi-automatic weapons ought not be available to just the average citizen, that there is no need, even if you are a sports-loving individual and you like to hunt. Of course, a lot of people in Chicago hunt, but they don't necessarily be hunting animals. They be hunting each other. That if you're going to acquire a hunting instrument, it not be a semi-automatic weapon. I believe in all of that. I agree with all of that. So I participated when three of our members went to John Lewis and began to talk to John about demonstrations, about what we know as the traditional civil rights nonviolent techniques and tactics, that something ought to be done. They, of course, all went to the leadership. Our leadership agreed, and something was in fact done. So we had a demonstration. And I guess you could say it lasted 2 days, where Democratic caucus in the House just took control of the floor and determined what was going to take place, what would not take place, and that's what happened. Of course, I participated in that demonstration and was very pleased to do so, as did practically all members of the Congress who are members of the Democratic caucus. A number of U.S. senators came over and spent some time on the floor. As a matter of fact, most of them have been members of the House. Therefore, they had floor privileges and could come in. We didn't get a vote, but we're not going to give up. And as a matter of fact, we are going to have a rally in Chicago on Wednesday. And when I say we, I mean U.S. Congresswoman Jan Schakowsky has been organizing it. And the ongoing gun violence crisis threatening the safety of our nation. In light of the most recent shooting in Orlando, many of my friends took their frustration and sympathies to social media, expressing their outrage of, sadly, not solely this incident, but of the nearly 136 mass shootings in 2016 alone. This is simply unacceptable. We must do something to stop this problem. I ask you, Representative Davis, what will you do to help mitigate the threat of domestic gun violence? I look forward to your correspondence. Thank you for your time. And of course, I will also indicate to this writer and this constituent the same thing that I indicated I would say to the other person. If you've got some views about this or any other issue that you want to call us about, why don't you just weigh in and give us a call at 312-238. I don't have my glasses. But you know the number. And let's talk about this and any other thing that you want to talk about. And of course, there are all kinds of things going on. The weather is just fantastic, unbelievable, and it's great. Paula, are you there?
Yes, I am. Hi, Danny. How you doing? This is Morel. Long time no see. Glad you're still keeping up the fight.
All right.
Just want to talk about, and I want to throw in some real different language. If we talk about gun responsibility, you know, if you buy a car, you have to be responsible for that car. But if you buy a gun, you don't even have to be responsible for it. And that doesn't limit the rights of gun owners. You can have a gun, just be responsible for it. And if you look at Chicago streets, the biggest threat to us is not terrorists. The biggest threat is all these guns and nobody's responsible that show up in kids' hands. And, you know, if we have a thing that we're responsible and make gun manufacturers responsible and everybody be responsible, you're responsible for your car, you're responsible for your house, you're responsible for your sidewalk, you're responsible for everything else except a gun, which creates more violence and terror in our society than all the mass weapons put together. And so I wonder if we change the conversation, what would be there? It doesn't restrict the right. It says you do have the right, but you do have the right to be responsible for your words. You do have the right to be responsible for your speech, and you do have the responsibility to be responsible for the guns that you purchase.
All right. Well, I don't think anybody could have said it better than what you've just said, because I think we've got some internal terrorists. That is, people inside our own country who are terrorizing the rest of us with these automatic and semi-automatic weapons that they should not have. There's just no reason at all for Mr. John Doe Citizen to have this kind of weapon. So I thank you very much, and we'll go to our next caller. Caller, are you there?
Yes, and good afternoon, Congressman. How you doing?
I am doing good.
Great. It's a great day to be on God's green earth.
It sure is, with all the great sunshine that He has given us.
There's a lot of things about these gun controls. Well, number one, I think that we need to have more laws restraining to it. It's so accessible to get guns. But even if you go somewhere and you purchase a gun, and you have your FOLD, well, it's right there where it was purchased at and from who and the person who brought it. I think the people, that gun came out on the streets and used to kill someone, the person who purchased the gun sent him to jail. We need to make so accessible to get guns. Guns is one of the most easiest things to get. It's just like going out buying groceries. And there's another thing that we need to cut back. But it takes so many other things to make people realize about the guns, but people really forget about Chicago. I mean, my God, just like how people want to fight everywhere, well, there's people here want to save lives. I mean, it's really horrible here, and I'm quite sure you know that. So maybe we need to start, the government need to start maybe coming down here to the state level, making these laws pass to our governor, which is doing many crazy things. You know what's going on here in Illinois. Nobody will have to tell you.
Yeah.
Things have to be changed. I mean, so many things need to be changed. And we could name a lot of things. I don't know. We need to change the way we eat, the way we sleep, the way we drink. Everything we do need to be changed. But sooner or later, talking is stopped. Let's start doing action. I mean, you're doing the best that you can. That's all you could. You can't just go out and kill people or shoot people. But listen, if you put a gun in your hand and you kill somebody, well, there's Ezekiel, eye for eye, tooth for tooth. You know, don't make it so easy. You know, if you do things, horrible things must come back on you.
All right.
Listen, I want to thank you so much for taking the show. I want to wish everybody a happy holiday and a safe day and a safe weekend. That's the most important thing. And thanks for taking the call. Let me get out there so I can hear your response.
Thank you, and be independent. And we're going to take our other caller now, and then I'll respond to both. Caller, are you there?
Good evening, Dr. Davis, U.S. Representative 7th District. When we talk about gun control and we talk about particularly the Second Amendment, and a lot of people don't realize the type of firepower that's out there on the street. And even when the designer of the AR-15 said it was never designed to be out there on the street, it's much more like a military weapon. No one need to have that type of firepower, because the type of weapons that's out there on the streets right now, it could literally cut a person in two. No one need that type of weapon to go hunting, because when you go hunting, do you really want to tear up something that you be hunting?
No, I wouldn't think so. I've never been much of a hunter.
But I want to say this, the bottom line is this: they don't need that type of weapon unless you're in the military. And we need to come up with some common sense type of approach. No one people are afraid of Hillary because they thinking somehow that she going to limit their Second Amendment right. When you talk about having background checks on people, there's nothing wrong with having background check. If you cannot get on a plane and you're on a watch list, how on God's green earth can you be able to go and buy a firearm? That doesn't make any sense. I'm talking about common sense. Take care. Bye.
Thank you so much. Well, let me tell you, both of the callers were right on the money. It certainly does not make sense to me that I'm going to say to a person, look, we're not going to let you get on an airplane. We don't know what you might do, but we're going to let you buy this gun that you may not even know how to stop shooting once you start. And it's all right if you do that. There's something going on in the country, and there's more to it than just a desire to have a gun. Now, I understand the Second Amendment, but I also understand something called custom and usage. And I understand something called custom and tradition. I also understand that times change. And what might have made a lot of sense in 1776 or 1780 or 1790 may not be as relevant today. I mean, there were a lot of people when the Constitution was written who lived in woods, forests, on farms, rural areas, no neighbors for maybe miles around. Animals were as much a part of the habitat as they were, so they probably needed to keep and bear arms. A big bear may be knocking on their door. Well, I don't think we're going to have too many instances where a bear or a wolf or a rhino will be knocking on our door. And we have National Guard, we have CIA, we have MIA, we got every kind of law enforcement agency that you can think of. And we also have the protective element of mass numbers, all of that, I think, becomes a factor. And I just don't think that we interpret the Second Amendment the same way that we may have done then. So while I'm for a great deal of individual freedom, I am not for every person who wants to have a semi-automatic weapon to be able to have one. Let me make a couple more announcements. Of course, when I leave here today, I'm going down to the Hyatt to the annual awards and installation banquet at the Cook County Bar Association. So I'm going to be in, high society, high company. Again, on Wednesday, we will have the meeting down in the Federal Plaza at 9:15. Everybody is welcome. Tomorrow morning, there are a lot of people who are going to be out walking. The Urban Transportation Network's got a walkathon down at the Shared Aquarium, 1200 South Lakeshore Drive, and they're going to be out there walking and praying and taking in the fresh air of the lake. But they also engaged in some farm development with the Shared Aquarium, and I'm sure that that's how they ended up. There are a couple of funerals, and I just don't know which one I'm going to go to because there are two, and I'd love to go to both. Miss Eloise Harvey's got one at the Maypole Avenue Church of God. I'd like to go there. Her daughter asked us about coming. And Miss Annie Sneed's going to be having her funeral at the Metropolitan Missionary Baptist Church on West Washington Boulevard, 2151, and her son, Joe Sneed, made us aware of that and asked if I know both families, and I know so many families, and people are so kind and so nice and so good. So I hope I can go. But then on Sunday, I've got to get out of Dodge because I'm going out to Las Vegas, Nevada, and I'm not going to play the slot machines or to be involved in a poker game. I'm going out to speak at the National Legal Services Organization Union, which is UAW Local 2320, and that's going to be out in Las Vegas, Nevada, and I'm going to be doing that on Monday. And then the rest of the week I'll be back in Chicago because we take the whole week for District Work Week. And I too want to hope that everybody will recognize what this independence business means. Plus tomorrow night I got to go out where some quartet singing is going on at the Tabernacle of Faith Church. My goodness, I don't know how I'm going to do all of that. But that's at 6 o'clock, but I just like good quartet singing, And Dr. Will fit the battle of Jericho, and the world comes coming down. Well, it's been a very fast-moving evening, afternoon. And don't take my singing to have anything to do with what those quartets will be doing, because I can't sing a lick, never could. I used to be in the choir when I was a teenager, and the choir director would tell me, look, you don't have to sing. Just stand there, open your mouth. See you all next week. It's been wonderful. Look forward to it. Thank you so much. Goodbye.